Okay, it's a little close.
Really pretty.
Oh, thanks, baby. That was nice of you. I'm gonna move this back a little bit, and I'm going to try to get on Facebook from my other phone here because I have a feeling there will be some questions, which is fine. That's why I've got another device here.
What if they said, where is Teddy?
What if what?
They said, where is Teddy?
Well, that would be interesting. Okay, I'm on. So, I gotta get on my page. So I'm going to start in just a second. Hopefully some people can hop on. Okay, there we go. Now we're in. Okay. So, all right, we're good. So I've got, let me turn the volume down. So I've got some, a way to see questions if we get some, hopefully. Too bad Charlie can't read over here, but today we're talking about molds, moldy molds, knob molds. Okay, so last week, Redesign with Prima's newest release happened. It dropped, whatever you want to call it. It bestowed itself upon the world. And included in that was some new items to my designer line, which includes some knob molds. So knob molds, yes, like hardware for your furniture. You can use them as hanger hooks for coat racks. Lids, you can put a little knob on them and make a top. I mean, it's just some of the ideas that, are running through right now. So they're a lot of fun. There's 4 different designs. I'm going to walk you through those today, and I'm going to try to be efficient because we all know I can talk my face off. But I'm going to try to be efficient and show you some different ways to use those, some different mediums, or I'll tell you some different mediums you can use in them and different things. There's not just one way to do them, or there's not one way to use them or one medium for them. There's all different kinds of ways. That's why our imagination is a great thing. Because you'll think of something I don't, I'll think of something he or she doesn't, and we'll all just have all these cool things floating around, right? So first I'll show you the molds. There's also hardware included. So I'm going to show you and walk you through some different alternatives to those because they come with hardware, 4 sets for each knob. Those will run out, assuming you're going to use your knob mold more than 4 times, right? For more than 4 knobs. And that's okay. You can go to the hardware store and pick up the hardware. And if you don't know what that looks like or what that is, or you're clueless, I'll tell you and I'll show you so that you too can go get some replacements should you run out. Let's go ahead and start with the mold. So there's 4, like I said, 4 designs. And they are... First is, actually I'll just show you, I labeled mine, or I put the initials on. So Regal Aura, okay. This is Regal Aura, isn't she pretty? I'll show you what it looks like in one moment. So Regal Aura, each of the molds is, I believe, 1.5 inches in diameter. So they're all the same size, they're just different shapes. And Regal Aura looks a little bit like this. Actually, it looks just like this. It's fairly plain. This is a more simple knob. You've got a little ridge or beveled edge around the edge. And the reason why I wanted them fairly simple, but with a little bit of, personality is so that you could embellish them, add glitter, add whatever you want, make them pretty or make them plain or whatever. But they still have some, a little bit of detail, some characteristics, something not just, blah. So, you could make this look like crystal. You could make it look like a pearl. You could make it look like a gemstone, granite, marble. You could just make it all one flat color. It could look like a Lifesaver or Oreo or something like that. I mean, whatever you can think of that's a circle could be this. These are cast in white or quick setting resin. Okay, so it takes about 10 minutes to cast a knob with the quick setting. A couple things to note before you begin. If you're using resin or epoxy, you want to have a ventilated area for one, and you probably want to wear a face mask. They make those N95, the dumbed down ones. I don't want to say that, but I don't know how else to put it. They're more like the kind on the string that they sell them at the hardware store, but they're like the everyday N95 version. So I have a couple of those. I don't wear them on the camera because you can't hear me talking. You'll be like, what is she saying? But I have plenty of ventilation. This isn't my first dog and pony show, so I'll be okay. all right? Don't worry about me. But I do suggest wearing, honestly, I suggest wearing all your PPE. So eye mask, ventilator, you never know. I've splashed weirder things in my eye before, like etching cream on a video. And I continued on. I almost went blind, but I should have, you know, probably had on eye protection, but you live and you learn. Regal Aura, okay? So the second one is Pearl Inlay. So this one's similar to Regal Aura, except it's got some beadwork around the edge. So this one would be, what did I say this one was? Pearl Inlay. Okay, so Pearl Inlay looks like this. Similar to Regal Aura, but it's got this pretty beadwork around the edge. And what you can do when you're finishing that out is just take a little bit of gilding wax or the gilding marker or decor wax, whatever, and just dab along the edge, and you can see those beautiful beads. So glaze, some gold, some silver, whatever, and it just really comes to life. Right now you're just seeing the ones I cast as examples, so they're just white resin. Next would be Imperial Pearl. I love that name. Imperial Pearl. Sounds so regal, right? It's also one of my favorite designs too. So similar to the last one, except it's a hexagon instead of a circle. So it's got that beautiful beadwork around the edge. That's a profile from the top. Pardon my Band-Aid. Can you see it? That beautiful beadwork around the top. Like, that's a great detail. I can show you some also that I've done so you get an idea, but we'll keep going and I'll show you those when I get that far. But what I say that was Imperial Pearl. And then next we have Luxe Ornate, okay? It's Luxe, it's ornate, it's a little bit extra. That would be this little guy. Oh, did it escape? That's the only one. I don't know what I did. Oh, here it is. I already went ahead and put it on a different mold as a, you know, backing plate to show you guys what you could do, the possibilities. So that is Luxe Ornate, okay? Not this whole big bottom part that I added on there, which is something you can do also, but just the knob part. And then I would put the little screw through there, but this is for Luxe. So that's Luxe Ornate, okay? It's got this ornate detailing around the edge and then a little button top. So fun. Kind of looks like a mini doorknob, right? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab some gloves. You definitely want to wear gloves if you're working with resin and epoxy. So some mediums that you can use in these knobs. You can use clay if you have one that you prefer and it dries rigid and hard enough to not break off when someone's opening their drawer. I saw someone mention plaster of Paris. I don't really recommend that for knob molds or anything too not gigantic because it's brittle. Plaster of Paris can be brittle and it can break if you drop it or run into it the wrong way. I mean, I've heard there's things you can mix in with it like epoxy to make it more rigid, but I don't know that for a fact. All I know is the plaster of Paris I've worked with, it will shatter or flake or fall apart if it's gotten too big of a blow. So I don't typically use that for anything furniture, but if I'm making something just kind of fun and seasonal, I do because it's not permanent. But to each his or her own, these are just my suggestions. Air dry clay, like I said, if you can find one or you know of one that is rigid enough to withstand use over however long, years, days, weeks, whatever you want. I don't generally use air dry clay just because I'm impatient. And I don't like the shrinkage and all that, but there's a time and a place for it. And for me, knob molds are not really that time and place, but maybe you know of one that is, you know, that stays. And also, you know, maybe you're looking for that aged look in your knobs. Every situation is a little bit different. So right now we're going to pour with clear epoxy, tabletop, they call it clear tabletop epoxy. And then also some quick setting resin. So I might not get to the actual pouring of the quick setting, but I have lots of videos. So do all the other influencers or redesign affiliates. They have videos where you can see the quick setting epoxy poured. Might not get to that today, but we're definitely going to start with some clear epoxy. So before I do that, I'm going to show you the examples that I have already made up so you can get an idea of what we're doing here. So each, like I said earlier, each of the knobs, each little package, like I just showed you, this little package, they come with 4 sets of hardware. So one set includes this little jobby, okay? It goes by many different names, so we'll talk about that in a minute when we go to attach. And then the threaded post, okay? So that and that. And there'll be a cap on each of the molds like that, okay? So I'll show you again in a minute, but basically what you do is take the little piece that goes my mini names and you plonk it on there firmly. And then when we pour, we'll set it in there and it'll set up centered in the perfect spot, okay? Not everyone is gonna enjoy that method. You know, it can be a little finicky if you can't see well or whatever. So I will go over some alternative methods to attaching if that's something you prefer. I just like to make sure people know they have options and that's not the only way, because maybe it's not your favorite way and you need a suggestion for an alternate. That's fine. Everybody's different. Okay, yes. So let me see. I'm going to look real quick, make sure that there's no issues. Sometimes people will be like, hey, you got a mic problem. We can't hear you, whatever, you know. So I'm just making sure real quick. So I probably should have shown you these as I was showing you the designs, but Gina asked if I tried melting the glue gun sticks in a pot. I haven't tried that version. The SureBonder makes a little melting pot for glue sticks, so you can just pour them in molds. I haven't tried it exactly that way. I've melted them, yes, but I haven't tried the little hot pot. I just kind of melted them and threw them in there. But okay, so this, let's see. Let's go ahead and start with Regal Aura because that's one that this one was not finished. I didn't finish it. Oh wait, here, this one is. So same mold. I leafed with some gold leaf around the edge and the bottom, the base here. And then before that, I had poured it with clear epoxy. And I only poured it so far, okay? And then I poured the rest with quick setting after the clear was set. That way was fine. I don't know if I would suggest it or do it again. It was a little more work than I thought necessary, especially because if I pour the whole thing in clear, then it becomes more translucent and you get more of that sparkle showing through and you can get some reflection of that gold behind it. So that was a test. It's not bad at all. I love it. It's beautiful, but I would probably do it again in all clear. Don't fall, baby girl. Please. Charlie says hi. So then next, which one was next? We had pearl inlay. Where's my pearl inlay? So here's pearl inlay, okay? And this one I did the same thing as the one I just showed you, exact same, except I took these little beads. Excuse me, they're flat back beads. They're actually for nails. Okay, so they're nail art beads, which I find is perfect for this. And I use nail glue, not nail glue, but the kind that you put on, you know, things on your nail with. It's UV activated. So it's basically like a mini resin. There's UV resin that comes in little bottles, same diff. So I applied those with that. And they stay really good. I mean, that stuff is no joke. Once you get it cured, it's on there. So I added little embellishments. I have little jewels and gems and things like that that I can add on too, like this. See those little rhinestones? I was just having fun one night in my hotel room and throwing those on there. So that brings us to Imperial, wait, not Imperial. I can never remember the names. They're just so similar. Well, this one, the hexagon little guy. If you're hopping on, say hey. I did not say that, but I always like to make sure that people know, please interact, say hello. I love that. It makes me feel like there's humans out there. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself and I'm like, no, please. This one is Imperial Pearl, okay? So that is I was right, Imperial Pearl, the hexagonal one. I put the gems around the edge, the little ones from my nail goodies. And then this right here, the gold that you see, is actually a little cut off from a foil transfer. So it's a whole big old transfer. I cut a little corner off of one of the flourishes and I put it on there and on the front. And you'll see it's shiny. What I use is a UV curing resin like you use on your nails to attach everything. I use that and I paint it over the top, UV cured it, done. It's easier than mixing up a whole other batch of resin just to pour over the top. Because if you want them shiny, you'll have to do a coat of something over the top to make them shiny, because otherwise they're just kind of like a flatter matte type look, which it's all dependent on what you're going for and how you finish it out. You know, that's going to decide what you want for your finish. And the last but not least would be Luxe Ornate. Oh, here's another example of the Imperial Pearl. I love this one. This is one that I poured in all clear epoxy. You see how much more luminous this is? Like the light flows through it a lot more, like it glows. So same process, but I didn't do the white behind it. I did it all clear with some hand-cut glitters in it. And then I didn't put the gems around the edge. It's just silver leaf. So that one was actually one of the easiest, even though it looks kind of more fancy than the rest. Okay, but the last one I want to show you is Luxe Ornate. Okay, remember that one I showed you on this? Isn't that pretty? I used Opal Magic paints on the top and the gilding marker around the edges of this one. I had used Art Alchemy metallic paints and put just a little tiny bit in my clear epoxy to get this color, kind of like a blurple color. One thing I want to note, please remember this and know this. You can add a little bit of paint into clear epoxy to color it, okay? If you want to give it a little hint of color, make it opaque, whatever, you can add paint, okay? Water-based paint is fine. I have not tried oil-based, to be honest, so I don't know about that. But, you know, your typical furniture painting paints, a little tiny bit in your epoxy will color it, you know, and adjust the amount. But you only need a little bit, because if you put too much, it'll set up immediately and not in a good way. But with the quick setting resin, okay, the white, the kind that turns white in a few minutes, you don't want to add paint or anything like watery, or you don't want to add anything to the quick setting unless you're purposely trying to have a big mess on your hands. I learned that the hard way. I was trying to color some and I'd never done it before, and I mixed up my quick setting resin. I added some paint and it just foamed up into a big lump. It happened to work out for me because I was making a pretend cupcake with that. And so it looked like a real cupcake in the wrapper once it foamed up, and I got lucky in that situation. But I'm guessing whatever you're pouring out of a mold, it's probably not going to be a cupcake. So don't color it with quick setting resin. If you want to color your quick setting, if you would like to color the quick setting epoxy, okay, the Luminite White, Amazing Casting, it goes by that name as well, then you want to paint it afterwards, prime it, paint it, you know, dip it in something, leaf it in something, gild it, wax it, all of that. And I'm not honestly sure about adding mica powders to the quick setting. I'm not positive about that. You might be able to. I have not tested that out because I haven't had a reason to yet. I might, just so that I know the answer to that. But as far as adding additives to the quick setting, I don't know of any, but I'm sure there are some, so sorry about that. A couple things you'll want to have handy if you're going to be pouring with resin: some mixing cups, either silicone or the clear disposable. Painter's tape when you go to finish it, if you're going to be doing anything involving, you know, needing a crisp line, which for the leafing, I put some tape around the bottom, painted the top, and then I leafed around, or no, I leafed, then I, you know, did the paint in the middle, or we'll see in a minute. I can't remember which order I did them in right now, but, or there's this masking fluid. I got this from, Jack Richardson Company. It's a masking fluid. You paint it on just like you're putting tape on, but obviously it's fluid, so you can get more details and more edges and smaller areas. And then once it's dry, you paint, you peel it off just like tape, or you can rub it, you know, sometimes you gotta do the little thing. It's kind of like, what's that stuff called? Rubber cement almost, and you can just rub it off and voila, nice crisp line. Where is this by the gallon? Am I right? If you have a scale, you can use that in a red Solo cup or whatever. Sometimes I go by weight, sometimes volume. I haven't noticed one way working and one way not at all. I don't know a difference. I think depending on your manufacturer of whatever product you're using, it will say measure by weight or volume. I've done both because I don't read instructions very well, and they've all turned out okay, unless it was my error. What else would you like to have on hand? You want to make sure you cover your working surface with either silicone, saran wrap, whatever you can just pick up and throw away. Don't do it on your nice butcher block or your granite or anything like that, because you'll either be SOL or you'll have a lot of work ahead of you to get that non-epoxied. Another thing is other decor molds. This is a Katcha mold. It is called, well, I don't know what it's called, but it's from this one. See? I cast that, drilled a hole in it, and put my knob on it, and there, it looks like a fancy, fancy knob, right? So whatever you can think of, you can most likely make happen, we're assuming. This is another one. This is one of my favorite molds of all time. Here's the other one from the Katcha mold. So I can just stick whatever I want in there. Any of these, and make a nice little escutcheon, which is basically a fancy word for backing plate, for any of my little knobs here. Isn't that fun? Yeah. And if you want to get real crazy with it, you can add flowers or some koi fish or whatever around it and just really have fun with it, especially if you have a plain or otherwise less personable personality, you know, hype piece. If it's kind of plain, let's just say, you can add a lot of character and personality with molds, especially the hardware, because that's functional. You need that, right? You need that to open a drawer. By need, I mean you would like to have that to open a drawer. There's knob transfers, okay? So these have been around for a while. I don't think that they're retired, but they could be. I'm sure you can find a retailer of Redesign with Prima who has knob molds still. They're the perfect size for putting on top of knobs, okay? Cast your knob in clear, put it on there, maybe pour some more clear over it, and you've got a nice dimensional looking set of flowers or text, or, you know, paint it, whatever, and put that on there. I mean, sky's the limit. Sky is the limit. So now we're gonna stop talking so much and start pouring some more. So I'm gonna point you down here, and we've got, we have got scale, we've got our cups here to measure. I'll turn this around so you can see it there, hopefully. And yeah, I'll use this so you can see it's clear. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretend like I am making, I need to make a couple of knobs, and I want them to look like they're, you know, some sort of pretty semi-precious jewel in the middle, and they'll be gold toned. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I want maybe like a ruby or something with a little pinkish hints of it. I don't know, kind of like this one. Let's see, that is that one. So let's just pretend like we have, well, no, we don't have to pretend. We'll just go ahead and do several of them. So this is how your knob comes with the, you know, with the packaging, and then this will be in this shrink wrap. And all your little hardwares are in here, okay? You'll have 4 sets, okay? Keep those handy, and also keep your little cap here handy, okay? If you want to go ahead and take that and put your little thing on there, you can do that ahead of time. It probably is a good idea, especially if you're working with quick setting resin, because I did not have that already done, and by the time I figured it out, it was already set up, which is no problem. I just drilled a hole in the back with my drill, and I used one of these that I already had, and I threw it in there. These are slippery gloves. So let's see, let's go ahead and do this one also. This one is Regal Aura. I wrote on the side the initials of which ones they are, but I didn't write it very well. I just didn't want to spend 8 years looking for the names of them while you guys were like, what is she doing? Okay, so we need 3 of these lids. We're gonna have them all ready. So let me tell you, my first idea, when I first got the molds in to kind of play with and see what I could create with them, my first thought was, you know, something just like I showed you, like this. Okay, this was my first thought, but I was thinking I will pour it with clear, just that part only, let it set up, and then pour the rest white, which I did. I tried that. So I tried that. If you want to try that and you think that you want to put like an image or a photo or something behind that, that's a good way to go. Just pour up to that line in clear, pop it out, put your image or whatever on there, secure it, and then make sure you leave room around the edges for the rest of it to attach to. So then you would put it back in, fill it up with whatever else you're finishing it off with, so clear or quick setting. That was really tedious for what I was trying to do. I mean, this is not going to require all that much work, so given the right project, I might, but this was not that project, so a little tedious. But then I decided to just go ahead and pour all clear. And I went ahead and I mixed my glitters, micas, whatever, in with the clear before I pour them in the cavities here. And that is when I came up with this, because that's all that is, clear with some additives. What are you at? Are you soaking up all my internet, little lady? Don't be using up all my internet Wi-Fi. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I've been having that issue for a couple days. So you can put glitters, mica powders, alcohol inks, just a little bit, don't get crazy, a little bit of paint, and by a little bit I mean for this size of a mold, I would dip the tip of a popsicle stick in my paint and mix it in with this. Like, you don't want too much because it'll just set up and get hard immediately. I'll show you here in a second, but this by far was the easiest but prettiest method I found so far, was just adding glitters to the clear. This is hand cut glitter from Etsy. A lady in Kentucky cuts all them all. She'll get you fine, she'll get you coarse, both mixed together in every color, and they're beautiful. I couldn't find those before we got on here, but I was looking because I have so many She does really beautiful glitter. You can find all that on Etsy though. Regular glitter from the craft store, German glass glitter, shards. There's regular glitter, alcohol ink. Again, you don't want to use too crazy much, but it'll be a nice transparent color for you. If you want opaque color, you want to get paint. You know, just a little tiny dab of paint, like I just said. Mica powders. What else do we got? This is a, it's called Alloy. It's like a metal, it's basically a gold alcohol ink. But I like that to create veining and things like that. I'll use that on the outside of a white one, spray it with a little bit of denatured alcohol, and watch it kind of, you know, create veins to make a marble look. And then, you know, we got pigments. These are Paint Couture pigments. I got some new glow-in-the-dark pigments from Redesign. I'll show you those. But, you know, you can use any kind of pigments, micas that I can think of. And, you know, holographic, you got color shifting, you got glow-in-the-dark. This is one of the ones from Redesign. I know my daughter's over there, like, wanting to use them so bad. She just gave me a look, you guys. But yeah, so alcohol inks, pretty much anything you can put in a regular epoxy for, you can put in these. I really like this gold, so I've been using gold leaf to do the edges and stuff like that, but I'm thinking about making one with the gold, you know, through and through with the mica powder. But there was one other thing that I was going to tell you. Oh, there's like, where are they? Beads, you could put beads in there, glitters. I have these little resin candy pieces that look like little tiny real candy. I throw that in there, little donuts to make something nice for like a kid's jewelry box or something. I have some fun with it, okay? And here's another one that I did with all the clear. So that I just put clear with some of the pearly or holographic colored hand cut glitter. Okay, so if you add mica powders, they're very fine, and you put a little bit, you'll get a shimmer all the way through. Okay, they're so fine they disperse. The big chunky glitter I find is the neatest look because they don't disperse to where it takes up the whole epoxy sphere, so you get some light shining through. I do like to mix a little bit of like finer ground glitter or mica into my big chunky ones, but I didn't in this case, and it was really pretty. There's a big chunky one, I mean. Big chunky glitter, okay? It allows a lot of light to shine through. But if you look in here, it even has some of the smaller in it. So we'll probably use this one, just so you can see the effect. Let's see. What is the other? Okay, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and start mixing this up. Oh, here was one more I wanted to show you. Sorry, there's just so many things. And if you think of something, drop in the comments if you're not sure, or if there's something I forgot. Yeah, please give us ideas. Okay, they're these little neutral shred is what they're called. They're like little metal shards. Or like, I don't know, maybe they're not metal, but some kind of foily something. Those are pretty cool too, as long as you don't get cut. So everything has to be completely submerged in the epoxy, but leaves, foils, all those things. But I think we're gonna go ahead and do what I say, that big chunky glitter, and maybe I'll just throw a tiny bit of a powder, a mica in there for you so you can see the effect with just a little bit. Okay, let's do this one. It's a color shifting one. What, bruh? Color shifting with gold? Yeah, boy. All right, so I cannot remember how much each of these cavities holds. I took note of it in my mind last night. I just did not take note of it on an actual piece of paper. So we'll find out here in a second. So I'm going to use my scale. That way you can see what I'm doing. Okay, scale. Oop, sorry if it's backwards. So I hit tare after I have my cup on, so we're back at 0, and I know exactly how much I have of each part in there. I would suggest possibly putting your epoxy in smaller vessels if you have these big jug type things, but no big deal if not. You want to make sure you have a stir stick that is not metal. You don't want to use metal to stir the epoxy. That's reactive. You want to have plastic or silicone. And I like to use a good old transfer stick or popsicle stick to mix mine a lot of the time, because that's usually just what's handy in front of me, and then I can throw them away after, and I have thousands of them. Or you can get a silicone spatula. I like doing that because peeling it off after it dries is really fun. But I'm just going to go ahead and start with, let's just say 1 ounce of each part. It's a 2-part epoxy, so let's just go ahead and try to stop at 1. Oh gosh, I'm upside down. Charlie, can you tell me when that says 1.0? Make sure you're paying attention, unlike me, because the other night, there it goes, 1.05. We're pretty close. That's enough? Thank you. I accidentally poured in B first. You're going to want to pour in A first, and then B.
I want to peel it off.
Oh, you can. I'm going to use this other stick, so if you want to peel it off, you can. Don't knock that drink over. So 1.0 was what I was going for. I got 1.05, no big deal. Now I'm going to pour in, let's pretend it's part B. I did it backwards. But the reason why you do A then B is just because of the weight. A is heavier than B, and when you pour B in, well, if you pour A into B, it just kind of sinks. But as long as you stir it up enough, it really doesn't make a difference. I want to hit tare again. Yes, I could do the math. 1 + 1 would be 2, but I don't like to take that chance in any case. So I'm just going to hit tare, so I'm back at 0. Try to add 1 more ounce, or 1.0. Tell me when it says 1.0, Ta. Mommy's not very good at this upside down. I'm not very good at math, not upside down. Whoop.
Did you pass it?
No, that 0 right there will become a 1 when I'm done. Just a 1. And we're almost there.
It has to be at the 2.
Nope, a 1. We're almost there. Oh, okay, there we go. 1.05. Ding, 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 ding. We win. That worked out, didn't it? Okay, so now we're going to stir. You don't have to work quite as fast as you do with the quick setting resin. That's fine. And a lot of people don't like this medium because they say it's toxic, which it can be toxic, okay? When I'm working with this epoxy in large amounts, like gallons at a time, which is not very often, but occasionally, then I definitely make sure to bring my respirator, because I have noticed the effects of not wearing a respirator. But when I'm working with this amount in a ventilated area, I don't smell anything, for one, but that doesn't always mean anything. Yes, just because I don't smell it doesn't mean it's not there. However, I'm working with it quickly enough to where it's not prolonged exposure. I've got some air flowing. I've got a fan over there. And also, once it's cured, you should know this. Once it's cured, it's no longer toxic, okay? Or considered toxic. They are very strict on their toxicity standards over at the old EPA. Or I'm sorry, what is it, the FDA? So, I saw it, honey. Good job. At the FDA, so once this is cured out completely, dry, outgassed, I would say, depending on how much you're using, for us, it's about not even 24 hours to be cured. Let's just say for the tray of a high chair that you're feeding your kid out of. Yeah, you can pour an epoxy. You're just going to wait several days before you let your kid eat off of it, because it will be outgassed and cured and no longer toxic. Or I should say, no longer contain toxins. And that's true for most sealers or adhesives. I'm not saying go around and eat super glue. I'm just saying once they're outgassed, they're usually not toxic anymore. Everyone I know anyways. I'm sure there are exceptions. So don't go eating glue or epoxy. But you want to stir it. Yes, I'm talking a lot, but it's because I have to stir this a lot. You want to go counterclockwise, clockwise, scrape the bottom, scrape the sides. You want to make sure it is all the way and thoroughly stirred, both parts into each other, because otherwise it won't set up if it's improperly measured, mixed, and left to set. It won't set up properly, and you'll have a sticky mess on your hand. You'll have to get rid of your molds. You'll have to have wasted that epoxy, and that's no fun. Wasting epoxy for me is like, I can't even talk about that. It's not an option. So one way to tell when it's ready to pour is you'll notice that the viscosity gets much, it's more fluid, okay? It's not as thick. It's much thinner of a mixture, okay? So when you first start mixing it, you're like, oh, that's kind of thick. But the more it sets there and right when it's ready to pour, it will become very thin feeling, like much more thinner feeling than it did when you were pouring it. So we can let that sit, but don't let it sit for too long, especially if there's more than this in it. If you let this sit full of epoxy for too long, it'll start smoking, possibly burn your house down because it'll incinerate itself, basically. Or combust, I'm sorry. I did that by mistake once. I luckily didn't cause any damage, but I did waste a lot of epoxy. Doorbell rang after I'd mixed up 64 ounces. By the time I got back downstairs from seeing who was at the door, smoking, it was all hot and burned looking, and I was very sad because that was the last of my epoxy at the time. So that's why I'm taking an extra long time to stir this up and talking your ear off. But you need to know these things. There's a reason why they make deep pour epoxy. It's way more expensive, but it's because it doesn't do that. So if you want to pour anything deeper than a 1/4 inch, unless it's, you know, this small, you'll want the deep pour epoxy. So those river tables that people make and, you know, all kinds of tabletops, you'll want the deep pour unless you pour it in 1/4 inch layers. What are you doing, little girl? What'd you do with my paper towel? My shop towel, the blue one? It was right here. Okay, never mind. We don't need that.
Where is it?
Well, it's right here, actually. Silly me. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually separate out a little bit of this, just so I can show you 2 different additives. Okay, so let's go ahead and take, where's my other cups? Is there another clear one? Where's the clear one? Here it is. Okay, I'm going to just separate out some of this so that I can show you. So what do we have here? We have about 1 ounce of each, right? If we measured right. So I'm going to show you when I mix in this mica powder, okay? And the measurements, or lack of measurements, would be about the same for any mica powder, unless you have some special one I don't know about. So we got 1 ounce here. Do you see how much mica powder I'm going to put in this? Got my little popsicle stick. Okay, so that's not even a teaspoon. That's like 1/4 of a teaspoon, maybe 1/3 if you're looking at it the right way. So I'm going to start with that. I can always add more, but if you add too much, it'll just set up. So that was all it took to color this. Give it a nice shimmery shim. What'd you say, baby? You can't put it in. It's very messy, honey. You cannot do that. I'm sorry. Next time, maybe, when you got gloves on and stuff, when we're not on a video. So see that pretty shimmer? That's going to give me enough translucency to where I could, you know, have some nice sunlight shining through my knob. Okay? Isn't that pretty? I'm going to go ahead and add some bigger chunks. I like to add big chunks with a little bit of mica powder because the mica powder color, the little bit that it does color, it fills in the blanks, right? But leaves it translucent for light to pass through. So I'm just going to add some big chunks here. Whoop. That's probably way plenty. I probably put too much. That's about a half a teaspoon, I'm sorry, of big chunks. So let's see what that looks like. May need more. What do you think? Do we need more or no?
Yeah.
You think so? Just a little bit. How about just a little bit? I think it. You always think yep. Why do you say that?
Because
You're a more is more gal?
enough.
Are you a more is more kind of gal?
No.
You're not? Well, I don't even know who you are then.
You need more.
That's a more is more kind of person. Always more, right?
You
Okay,
need
that's more
a
like it.
lot
Shh.
more.
Okay. Shh. I'll tell you. So that is more like it for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour it right on in there. Ooh, do we have enough for 2? So you want to pour it, oh, can you see? You want to pour it almost to the top. Like I'm talking almost to the tippy top, but not quite. Okay, it's like your coffee and you're leaving room for sugar or something. And then I'm going to take my little lid here with my little thingy on there, okay? Make sure it's on there. Then I'm going to flip it and put it on there right straight on there. So do you see how I filled it almost to the top? I left a very tiny little bit of room at the top. And that should be as flush as you can get it, okay? You can see the epoxy in there. Let me see if I can show you any closer. Can you see it in there? How it's almost, it's like basically, if it didn't have that meniscus or whatever on top, that curvature, it could be flat. If I fill it anymore, I'm afraid it'll make a dome, and I don't want a dome because I can always sand the edges like this. So I'd rather it be just a tad under full than over full, if that makes sense. So next I want to mix up one more. What type of additive do I want to put in there now? Do we want to do paint or pigments? we want to do some paint, or do we want to do glow in the dark?
Glow in the dark.
All right, I bet you want to do pink, don't you? Okay,
Pink.
Yep, I have to tell you something later.
That's my favorite color.
Oh, I know. I made some pink. I started those little cups for you with the pink, the glow in the dark pink. That's why there's not a whole lot left. This is the redesigned mica powder. It's glow in the dark pink, Charlie's favorite. And I'm gonna grab my little stick here, a different one. I'm gonna grab a different one, unless you want to mix your mediums, and stir it up, little darling. Stir it up. Well, no, not you. It's a song. You know, you're not a Marley fan? Okay, so that is our glow in the dark powder. Pretty, right? Do we want to put anything else in that while we're at it?
Yeah.
What? Quick? Think quick. What do we want to put? There's all kinds of stuff. You want some silver, some gold, some chunky glitter, some... What? That's going to take over the whole color, and it's going to make it look like brown. You don't want that, do you? You need some glitter. That's going to turn it purple, because it's blue. Blue and pink make purple. How about... We can put a little bit of that in it. It'll just make it more pink. Is there any pink glitter you want to throw in there? All right, then. We're just going to put a little bit of alcohol ink. This is alcohol ink.
Where's the pink
So it's basically like water-based ink with a little bit of rubbing alcohol that generally when I'm pouring epoxy and I add this, it makes some cool effects when you blast it with some alcohol, but I don't know how that will be while it's setting up. You don't want to add too much. So look how... I don't know if I have pink glitter, honey. It'll have to be a different color. See how... I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can, but let me show you. Hold on. I got an idea, Charlie. Give me a second and I'll show you. But see how can you see how it's marbling in there? That's what the alcohol ink does in epoxy. It kind of makes these veins or marbling. I don't know if you can see it because it's pink on pink, but I can definitely show you the gold on pink.
I can see pink on pink.
I'll show you the gold on pink and you can see.
No.
Please, I'll make you another one, okay? How about we do that? So watch this. Okay, see that? Is it doing it? See how it kind of spider webs out and then it makes these neat little kind of stone looking shapes like veining. And let me just, there's gotta be a better way to do this. Can you see the, wait, yeah, can you see that? See how it makes those neat little shapes and then it kind of, you know, disperses and then it turns into like a spider web shape. Hold on, Tara. What am I doing here? I gotta put the cap back on that before I spill it everywhere. But see,
Whoa.
it almost looks like
Poo.
no, it doesn't look like poo. But if I threw some rubbing alcohol on that, it would make some really neat spidering veins. So let's just go ahead and pour it, and then maybe we'll see what happens after we pour it.
Whoa.
Oh wow, that looks pretty neat in there. I'm not gonna lie. This may be the coolest one yet, Charlie. I don't know. Okay, let's see.
That's not enough.
Honey, I know. I didn't leave enough for you. So let's see. Let's fill that up, and then we'll let that set up. Okay, since it's not all the way full, we'll let it set up, and then we'll pour some more clear in there with that one color that you wanted to do, that bronze-looking color, and then it'll have a bronze base. Okay, so this one will be pink and gold marbled, and then we'll fill it the rest of the way up. So it filled up to about here where my fingernail is. So we'll fill the rest of it up with that bronze color she had earlier, and it'll look like the base is, you know, bronze.
Mommy.
So that's kind of neat. That was a happy accident, huh? We don't have to put our top in yet because it's not that full. So we'll leave that one. Yeah, we're done for now with the mixing. So now let's fast forward and pretend like we waited overnight. So I would let them sit overnight for sure. Okay, they start to set up before that, but you want to be better safe than sorry because the inside could still be a little gooey. So overnight, this has been pretty much exactly 24 hours on these. Okay, so we're gonna pretend like we waited overnight. We're peeling them off. You wanna be gentle when you peel them. We don't want casualties. I mean, it's silicone, but it can tear. So we wanna just kind of peel it away just like this. Don't get too crazy with it. Peel it back just like that. Okay, it's not indestructible. You know, you can use it in the microwave, you can use it in the oven, whatever, but it doesn't mean it's indestructible. Okay, see my little base here? We need to grab some sandpaper and we can sand that down so that the sides are less, you know, not flush. So I'm gonna do that real quick. And what I like to do is I just grab my sandpaper and then instead of sanding it, I take it to the sandpaper. That's probably the easiest I've found so far. And I just want to sand it as flush as I can. Probably would help to do it on a table, but I want you to be able to see. And don't do this over the ones you just poured because you'll get sawdust in them or epoxy dust in them. I was just showing you that as a cautionary tale. Okay, let's see. All right, so there you go. And then you've got your thing. He's sticking out a little bit. I probably could have filled that a little bit more. And I can always fill it in with whatever I want to make that not be a little space in there, but it won't show because once I get it in my piece of furniture, put this in, it'll be flush around those edges. So let me show you. I made this little contraption here, okay, to hold my knobs while I'm working on them. So I'm just gonna put it in there. I will look and see if there's any questions in just a moment. This will probably be a little bit long of a video, but we're over halfway done at least. So I just put that in there with the screw behind it. If it's too loose for your taste and you won't be able to work on it effectively, you can get a little nut, like, where'd they go? I had them right here. You can get one of these little nuts and put it on the back tightly. That way it holds tight, okay? So one of these has to fit, but I'm gonna do that because I like to pick up the board and work my way around it with my glues and glitters and paints and all that. So don't forget to keep your post though, don't lose it. Look how pretty that is. This was clear epoxy with some big chunky blue glitter and a little bit of color shifting mica pigment. So I didn't put too much in there, but you could see how it kind of brings to life those little glitters in there, makes them real holographic looking. What am I doing here? Oh, I don't have one of my posts. So you can find posts that they don't have an end on them, you know? They don't have a head. So that's what I meant to grab, but I didn't. So I'm gonna have to just try to use one of these short ones and hope that it's tight enough. But if you have one of those open-ended ones, you can use the little nuts. But I think this will work actually. This is a piece of plywood. I drilled holes in it, or you can use pegboard. But I drilled holes in it and, ugh, it's not tight enough, but that's fine. And then I zip tied it to this thing so it's elevated in case I need to pour on them again, but I don't know, because I really don't know what I'm doing to it, if anything. I'm probably just going to show you how I leaf and gilding marker around it, okay? Okay, so the next one, let's see what these look like. This one would be,
the pink one.
well, this is one from last night, but yes, it's your same pink. This one's the Luxe Ornate. Luxe Ornate. So we're just going to peel away gently. I hope you can see. I didn't even look this way. That was a little too free. How that? All right, let's do this one better. That better for now? Okay. So this is Luxe Ornate. I'm just peeling it back as gentle as I can. I know, this is a glow-in-the-dark mica powder one from Redesign. I have not tested it out yet, obviously. I just pulled it out there. So maybe we'll use a little bit of pearly color or something in the middle. I don't know. So let me just sand the back. You like that one, Charlie? Looks like a big pink UFO, doesn't it? Some other things that you can do to finish these out to make them more custom, or, you know, what, baby?
Looks like a big pink sucker.
It does, a big pink sucker, but it's not one, so definitely don't eat it. So some other things that you can use to finish these out or make them custom or add to the look, let your imagination go wild. Like I said earlier, other molds, the medallions, the backing plates, there's keyhole molds. I love doing that with the keyhole molds. I'll show you here in a second. You just kind of layer them until they're how you like it, but what I do is I pour them individually and then I attach them with either cyanoacrylate or another little bit of epoxy. I use that as a glue, or sometimes hot glue if I'm going to be finishing it out in a way that it will stay together. So we've got these keyholes, okay? I like to put those behind my knobs sometimes. These are a little bit big of knobs for that, but there's also big keyholes, so problem solved. Like, look at these ones. Tulum keyholes is perfect because they're nice and long and you can see the detail and they don't get hidden. Imagine how pretty that is with a knob in front of it. A couple more that I you know, they're great for this is, I forget what this one is called, but look how big that is. It's so grand. It's like it's got 3 spaces for keyholes, but look, put that on there and that'd be cool. I mean, the possibilities are literally endless. This is Marguerite hardware. So although those are not functioning handles, this would be. So imagine you plop that on a little handle and it would just look like, you know, something really cool and custom, or a little doorknob. Wouldn't it look like a fancy doorknob if it was vertical like that? So I hope that gets your imagination kind of flowing if it wasn't already. And of course, then I showed you these guys here. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to finishing these out. Well, let me just, there's another one that I did last night, and I got one more. We'll just get one of each on there and then see how far we get. Sorry, world's longest live here. Ooh, look at that one. This one was just clear with that blue glitter and some holographic glitter. Isn't that neat?
That's cool.
And once I get this clear coated and it's shiny, it's going to be even more sparkly and more pretty. So right now, as they come out of the mold, they're a little bit matte or flat of a finish. And that's okay. You know, if you were doing something that wasn't sparkly, I'm sure that that would be definitely ideal. But usually when things are sparkly, we like shine, right? We like glossy. So whatever your end look is, that's what I would finish off with. But let me find my screws here. Just hold those in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some my gilding marker. Okay, I'm gonna grab my gilding marker, and then I'm gonna grab some gold leaf or metallic leaf. I don't know if it's gonna be gold, maybe not. And we will finish out some of these, make them pretty, and then we'll head off. So the time-consuming part is done. Now we're on to the fun part. Well, it's all fun to me, but the vanity part, right? What you doing, little girl? You trying to hint at me to do something with those? Is that what you're doing?
I like this.
So I told you that I was going to tell you some alternative ways to put the hardware on these. And I think I kind of went into an explanation about one of the ways, but I'll just recap real quick here. So say you run out of the hardware that comes with it, or you don't like it and you don't like that method, or blah, blah, blah. You want something different. So I told you my mistake when I first started using these. So my first suggestion would be, because it worked out, honey, I don't think that's quite gonna work, but thank you. Might, you never know. It's a regular screw. Okay, then it works. One option is to pour these in the mold, flat back, no cap, no hardware, nothing. Just let it be flat. And now this version requires you to have a drill or power tool of some sort to drill a hole in. Maybe a Dremel. I don't know if Dremels drill holes. I'm assuming they do. Whether you have it or your significant other has a drill. The first method I suggest alternatively is letting this finish out with a flat back. Those are crushed opals, but please don't lose those or spill them. So let me show you. Do I have one with a flat back? No, I don't. We'll just pretend though. So say this is not in here and is a flat back. Okay, you want to drill a hole depending on your thread post size, and you can get these posts at Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, wherever. They look just like the ones that came with it. You can drill a hole, okay, that's the same size as the threaded post. What I do is I use cyanoacrylate or super duper duper glue, put it on there, glue it in there, and then it's set. That's going to be if you don't change your knobs out or you don't anticipate ever wanting to change them out. If you do, you can get them out if you use like a some pliers or something, but that's one way to finish it out. Or you can, you know, drill it so that it's threaded and then screw that in. It's really kind of just, you know, whatever screw method you like the most. But method one, after, you know, the hardware that comes with it, is drill a hole. Method two, which I guess should probably be my first suggestion instead of that last one, but whatever. When you're making it, just like we did, you know how at the end we put this on the top, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, except instead of putting that on there, I get these just like the one that came with it. I have an old piece of silicone from an old mold that I cut in this exact shape, okay? And I put a little tiny hole or slit in the top, and I put my post in there upside down, okay? So you want to set the knob with the flat part down, and then you want the threaded post part sticking up, okay? You want to put it on your thing, center it, let it set up, and then you'll have this sticking out of the center, okay? You can then put that in your piece of furniture, and then you can get one of these nuts to attach it from the back, and you can get whatever size post that you need. This is from Amazon. It's a variety pack, I've thrown some additional ones in there, but
Screws.
they are, yes, they're called machine screws. If you want to look for these, okay, machine screws.
Machine screws.
Honey, yes, that's what they're called. And then these are just nuts. I mean, that's what they're called, nuts. It is nuts, isn't it? But you can use machine screws. You can look up, honey, remember what I said earlier about letting me get this going and talk? So machine screws, maybe Chicago screws if you want that type. Those are more bookbinding screws, but they would work. There's all different types of screws, but you'll be good with machine screws and nuts. So you would let that set with the flat part down, right? Because you'll need to get it on your furniture, and then screw the nut on there to secure it. So that's probably actually the easiest after, you know, the manufacturer method. So let's see. Where did we want to go next? We want to apply our, okay. So the first one that I'm going to show you how to finish out all pretty, and I'm just giving you ideas. I'm not saying you have to imitate any of these looks or colors or glitters, but you can, you know, you can imagine if I put glue on here and some leaf, you can find your own leaf or foil or whatever. I'm just showing you the process and giving you ideas. Okay, you don't have to do the exact same thing if you don't want to. So since the glue takes a few minutes to get tacky, I'm going to go ahead and apply that to a couple of my knobs here. So this is for gold leaf. So this is gilding glue. It's for leafing. Silver leaf, gold leaf, copper leaf, rainbow leaf, variegated leaf. There's all kinds of leaves. You better believe that. I like to take the top of a you like my joke? See, Charlie laughs at my jokes. I like to take the top of a transfer tube, pour my glue in there. Oh, okay. Or squirt it in there. And then I can just dabble out of that. Okay, you don't want to go too crazy. You don't want it to be super thick, but you also don't want it to be so thin that it dries and you can't leaf. Okay, because believe me, it dries pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead. No, honey, I can't look right now. Okay, you can show me in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and go around this one. Okay, let's go around the edge of this one. So I like to usually elevate this or put my hand under it, and I can spin it. So if you would like to tape or use this masking medium around the top, if you want a perfectly straight edge and you don't trust yourself to get one, I'm usually pretty steady-handed when it comes to this kind of thing. So I'm going to take my chances. Plus, we don't want to wait for that to dry right now. So I'm just going to go around the edge with my my leafing glue or size. It's usually called metal leafing size or gold leaf size. It's basically glue that dries to a tack. So it's still sticky but not wet. You don't want to try to apply your leaf while it's still wet. You want it to be dried for a few minutes and be tacky. So you don't want residue to come off on your finger if you touch it, but you want it to be sticky. That doesn't take very long, so don't walk away and go take a nap. Okay, I'm going to go around the edge. Normally I would go around the base as well, but in the interest of saving time this evening, I'm just going to go around the edge so you get the idea. Okay. My mom used to have this little doohickey that she would put her icing roses on when she was making cakes, and she would just turn it like that. And I wish I had one of those right now. I guess I could just put the post on it and do that, but what else? Still wish I had one. Boom. If you don't have a steady hand, like I said, get some tape or masking fluid or whatever, but I'm going to save time here and just eyeball it. Okay, so there's that one for now. Let's do, maybe we do a little bit of, where'd my glue go? Where'd my brush go? There it is. Let's just do this one too for S&G. So this one, if you want to get the gold leaf all in those little details around the beading, you kind of got to pounce around it. But if you just go over the tops with the glue or adhesive, then you can just get a sprinkling on the top of your leaf, whatever color it may be. We'll do a little bit of both. I'm not going to be real thorough on that because I can always add more. But I want to go around the edge so I can show you. Okay, don't bump my arm, honey, when I'm doing this, please. Pretty please. All right, so I'm just going around. Normally I'd be more careful than this, but I don't want to waste your time, so we're just going to move a little quicker. So there's that. And again, you don't have to do this. I just like the look of the the finished knob, like it's set in metal. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to show you the gilding marker while that dries to attack. In case you haven't seen it, it's the gilding marker. Also released at the same time as these knobs. It is a marker that you can use as you would decor wax or gilding wax or any sort of metallic that you like to put on your details to make them, you know, shine. So watch this. Okay, I'll see you in a minute, baby. So I used to have this one on a Lazy Susan, but I used that as a steering wheel in the drag car that she had to make for school. I wish I had my Lazy Susan. So this has a chisel tip. So it's got that flat end, right, for wider applications like that. And it's got the pointy end for precision. So I'm just going to take the flat part and run it along the details here. Should probably move that out of the way, but. See how easy that is, and it's so fun. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. I'm just going over the tops of the details. I'm not pressing hard or anything. I'm not, you know, none of that. I'm just lightly going over the tops. Look how chromy it is. Isn't it super chromy? I love this thing. Gild all the things. Gild all the things. It's hard to see from, I'm trying to make sure you can see, but in that process, I can't see. There goes something. Okay, isn't that fun? I mean, for real, that is so fun. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. Okay, so there's that one, but that's not all. I think I want to throw some sparkle in the middle or something that's, you know, going to make it a little bit more, I don't know, it's going to elevate the detail of that. So what I'm going to grab is... I've got this little bin full of metallic paints. What they are is little pots of paint from the Finnabair line, and there's Opal Magic, there's metallic, but they're these little pots. See how pretty those are? And they come in all the different sparkles, all the metallics. And I think I want one that's opal, maybe, possibly. I don't know. What goes with pink, you guys? Violet green, maybe? Who knows? We're about to find out. Ooh, let's do violet green on that one, actually. Maybe. Maybe not. Did we put... Actually, maybe we do it around the edge of this one. Because that's got glue on it. I don't know if I want to mess with that. Let's see. Yes, I am just experimenting. No, I have no clue what I was going to put on these when I started this video. It's all about what strikes you as, I wonder if that works, or I wonder what that will look like. Not that one, this one. So let's see. This is Opal Magic paint. It's color shifting type paint. Violet green is what this one's called. So let's see what happens when we put it on this. And I can wipe it off too if it's not going to work out, if I wipe it off right away, because it's paint and this is epoxy. I want you to see closer, so let me take this off of here. Check this out. That really goes with the sparkles, doesn't it? Like it really matches the sparkle, the green purple type deal. Let's see. Ooh, are you seeing this? I'm just gonna go around the edge. I mean, if that's not a unicorn look, I don't know what is. Like, for real. That's some unicorn stuff. That's unicorn dreams right there. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised she didn't hear me say unicorn from upstairs and come running down. What? Did somebody say unicorn? Oh wow. So that's pretty. So that's a nice little unicorn knob. Unicorn knob. Isn't that neat? Or is it too close? Was it too close? Can you not see? Can you see? Yeah. Ooh, isn't that pretty? But we're not done yet. Oh no, we're not. Where's our gilding marker? We're gonna grab our gilding marker and we're gonna go around the tops. Just lightly around that beaded area is what I'm doing. Just to kind of make those beads more prominent, more sparkly, more attention grabbing. Ooh. Just on the tops, just on the tops. You could do that with decor wax also. I just like this because it's such a small amount of gold that it's deserving to be very chromy. And that's what this gilding marker does. It gets really chromy looking. So what do you think? Any unicorn fan would love that, right? Yes, right. So now I'm just gonna put it back here to dry. And then while I've got my gilding marker out, I might as well go ahead and throw some love on this one here, right? Let me just go ahead and screw that on. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and gild the heck out of this guy. You could also glaze too. The glazes that came out with these products, part of my line, there's Tiger's Eye, which is a bronzish gold, blackish type glaze. So pretty, so like sultry and classy looking. It would be perfect on this. I had a 6-shot Starbucks right before I got on here, so I'm shaking a little bit. Yes, and I had it at like 6 p.m., so don't judge. So this gilding marker is the bee's knees, you guys. And you can perfect it. I'm not going to worry about that, but you can go over our leaves. See that? Use the flat part, just rub it along the tops of your details. As much or as little as you want. That's the beauty of the precision and the chisel tip. So, boom, boom. Or if you wanted to even draw them on with the pointy tip, you could, but that's up to you. Okay? So I like to just kiss the tops. Put your hands up and kiss the sky. Is that how it goes? We're kissing the tops. Or you could just color the whole thing. You could do that too. Whatever you want. Whatever you like, I do for you. And that's so fun. Oh my gosh, I hope that we get to do multiple colors of this marker because I would be, you'll never see me again. I'll be just hiding out in my room with markers all day. Gild all the things. Okay, so let's do our leaf on these. You hear that? Sticky. But it's not residue, you know, I can tell that. You probably can't, but sticky but no residue. They're perfectly primed for leafing. I'm gonna grab me some rainbow leaf right here. This is rainbow leaf. Okay, you can use gold leaf, silver leaf, variegated leaf. I'm gonna use rainbow leaf. Actually, no. Let's use variegated gold leaf. Let's do it. What is variegated gold leaf, you say? Well, funny you ask. Variegated gold leaf is gold leaf with all of these veining and, you know, designs through it from a chemical that they put on there to make a reaction, and it creates beautiful shapes and textures and patterns like this. Look at this. This is a variegated gold leaf with red. Do you see that? This I got from Magic City Leaf. It's great. It was getting hard to find for a while because of COVID and all that, but we found it. Typically used for pinstriping on cars and things like that. I use it on furniture, but isn't that pretty? There's reds, blues, all kinds of colors. It reminds me of an oil slick. We should probably use this one on the green, right? Because orange and green are kind of like a theme, aren't they? Here, let me go ahead and get my little sheet out before I ruin the whole thing. Oh, come on out. Oh, okay. I'm just going to lay that there for a moment. Let me get this off here because now they're too close. Ah, I got some on there. Okay. Ah! That poor little guy, he's all over the place. He's like a little... Okay, okay. So I'm going to take my gold leaf and I'm going to kind of go around the edge of my knob here where I had that... whatchamacallit? That glue. You guys are making me nervous. I'm going to go around the edge gently and grab a brush to do so because that's a little bit nicer and easier. It makes it look nicer if you can keep it in one sheet. Just patting it on there so I don't lose any. I don't want to go crazy and lose it all. I'm going to get it stuck on there first, okay? Gently stick it all on there. I can pull off, since I didn't put adhesive on the bottom, it's not going to stick there obviously, so I'm going to pull that off and just stick it in places I may have missed. Like the sides or on the tops where there's those little beadwork areas. I think I put some glue there, didn't I? I think I did. They need a gilding glue that is got a tinge of a color to it so you can see where you put it. most of the time I just go willy-nilly and I'm like, oh, well, we'll see where it lands because I don't know where I put the glue. Okay, so I'm patting it on there to make sure it's all adhered to where I want. Okay. After I do that, then I'm going to kind of get a little firmer with it. I'm going to dig it down into those details of the beadwork by pressing a little bit firmer, poking it down in there, okay? Then I'm going to go around the edge a little more firmly, make sure it's all covered. Once I'm sure it's all covered, or I think it's all covered, I'm going to get all these little fuzzies and extras off. Okay, so I'm going to grab a different brush. You want to grab one that's firm. Firm bristle, like not super hard bristle to where it's going to take all your leaf off, but firm enough to where it's not going to just be flimsy. You got to be able to brush it off. Normally on a piece of furniture, I brush it the opposite way, you know, I brush it towards myself, but these are a little more fragile, so I'm just using it to just kind of dust the rest off, right? Like instead of forcing the excess off, I'm just dusting it. But normally with furniture, I'm a little more forceful at this point in the process. So dusting it off, like I'm dusting for fingerprints, you know, do that all the time. And then, voila, look how beautiful that is. So my next step would be to seal this, and I would use either a clear coat of some sort of water base, or you could pour another coat of clear epoxy on the top, very thin. You might want to use a little heat to get it to be, you know, covering everything in thinner, because you don't want it super thick. Or like I said, the UV curing resin, you can just brush on like it's paint, and then cure it with a UV light if you have one. Or, you know, clear, the clear kind that I use for my nails, it's also UV curing. It's pretty much clear epoxy that's UV cured. Same thing, and it comes in much smaller little amounts, so you don't have to buy a whole gallon of it. But that works just fine, and that will clear coat it and make it super sparkly. I should have brought that over here, but I didn't. But it'll make it shiny and clear like that top is. See? I wonder if I put regular water coat or a water base on that real quick just to see what it would look like, if it would give me that same shine. I'm not sure. I don't really have any handy at the moment. It's down in the cupboard, but you get the idea. Imagine that super sparkly. Ooh. Okay, so that one, we got the Opal Magic around the bottom. I'm going to put a little bit more just so that it's super, super opal-y. Let me show you that this way, maybe. No, let me take it off again. Jeez. This worked just fine when I was by myself using these, but now that I'm on the video, of course, it's like not working out so great. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is one more leafing on the one that we put glue on. What should I use? Should I use silver? Should I use copper? This is the one we're going to do. Silver, copper, flakes, foils. Well, I don't know where my foils are. They're somewhere, but let's see what else I got. I actually have colored metal leaf too, like pink, blue. Should we try that and see? Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, purple's my favorite color, so don't even mess with me on that. I love it. That's not gonna work either. Gosh, I don't wanna ruin this one, it's so pretty. All right, so let's just do, let me show you the colorful leaves without messing this one up. This would be pretty with some of that variegated on it too. I'm gonna throw some, since I got the glue in my hand. Oh, that's not glue, it's paint. It's glue now. We're gonna let that dry while we do the last one. Then I'll throw it on there just so you can see. So fun. All right. This is our last one, right? We were gonna put, let's try the colorful leaf on there real quick. So the colorful leaf that I've found is usually much more flaky and brittle, I guess I would say, I don't know, than the sheets of imitation leaf. So it's not like you can just roll it on there and then wipe it off like I showed you a minute ago. This is more brittle, so it just kind of turns to dust when you use it. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it can give you a cool look. So let's just say we're gonna use, what would be pretty with that iridescent? Blue, maybe? Blue, or, can you see that? Blue, or, I think I have pink. Let's just do all of the above, huh? Let's do blue and pink, or whichever two I grab first. Okay, there is blue. Oh, sorry, little guy. Blue, it's like a royal blue. Let's start with that and see what happens. So it comes in a sheet form just like the last one, but it's much more flaky. See how that one just broke off into like a little square? So usually with this one, I like to take a brush instead of my fingers. Take the brush. And this I got off of Amazon, so it's not anything crazy. It's just look up metal leaf, colorful metal leaf. Okay, so I take my brush and I usually kind of like to apply it with a brush because I don't want big chunks of it. I want it to be kind of like organic looking in shape, you know? So I'm gonna apply a little bit, kind of brush it off as we go. See what I mean by brittle? If you poke at it, it turns to like dust almost, little flakes. That's not a terrible thing. It works in your favor because it looks pretty cool. Let me grab another color just to see. Oh, look, that's a perfect shape on my finger. Nice and organically shaped. It's those hard edges, the lines that I don't care for. What other colors we got? What else you got? What else you got? We got red, pink, pink. Let's do pink. Normally, I'm not this messy when I'm working, I promise. It's just because I'm trying to hurry. So let's do a little bit of pink. So this I'm not worried about keeping it as one full sheet because that's almost an impossible task if that's my goal. So I like to kind of get it on there with the brush. And then, should we do a third color or just leave it blue and pink? Let's do a third color. Because why not? How about, what is this? Is that pink? Pink, pink. I might have got rid of the other colors now that I think about it. Or used them, I mean. There's green, pink, pink, green, blue. Let's do a little bit of this on there, huh? Very colorful. It's like our little wannabe Mardi Gras knob. I'm just doing this to demo for you. I'm not going for a specific look or anything like that. Because this would be a little frightening, these colors together. Okay, so once we got our little colorful areas on there, get a little bit more blue over here. Let's just pretend like it's all the way covered. I know it's not, but I'm ready to hop off of here because I'm sure you're like, be done. So let's just pretend like it's all covered and how we want it. Then I'm gonna kind of brush away with me. I have a dedicated one of these, by the way, bigger for furniture, but I suggest that because that way you don't have to find one every time. You just have your little leafing brush. That's from earlier when I squirted the glue everywhere. That's not a problem. If your fingernail doesn't get off mistakes, then just use a tiny bit of mineral spirits. And then when we clear coat that, it'll be just beautiful, darling. Just beautiful. Okay? Put rhinestones on there. We could put a knob transfer on there. Maybe we do that real quick. Put a knob transfer on there. This is going to be the most beautiful knob you've ever seen in your life. They're like transfers, but they're little and round shape. Promise I'm almost done. I promise. Tear that off, or cut it off, sorry. Then we want to, what a mess. I really promise you I'm not always this messy when I'm working. I'm doing this for you so I can pack as much in one video as I can. And then I'm pretty sure I probably missed something, but I can't think of what. I am going to do a regular non-live video over these knob molds. If you need to reference that when I get that done, I'll share it. So there's our knob mold, and then we want to rub it on with a transfer stick. Okay, just like you would a regular one, but you might want to hold it on there because it's a curved surface. So, ooh, he don't want a sticky. It doesn't want to stick. These are kind of old, you guys. I probably should, these are kind of old, so if it doesn't stick, which I've only ever done this on wooden ones and it stuck fine, I would take some of my gilding size or gilding glue, let it dry to a tack on there just like we did for the sides, and then try to go at it again with my little transfer or whatever you need to stick on there. Might not be sticking because of the little dusty particles from the, glitter, but whatever. Ooh, let's coax it on there and see what happens. We're babysitting it. There, so you get the idea. That's hideous, absolutely hideous with those colors. But you get where I'm going. You see what I mean? You can do that with whatever non-hideous items you want. And then the last but not least, I promise you this is really actually the last. We're just gonna throw a little bit of this on here just to see, just for S&G. Okay, S&G. Let's see. Oh yeah. Grab my brush. I save those big chunks, like I'll use them again here in a second. I throw away the little dusty chunks, but these big ones I'm gonna use, so don't you worry about me wasting, folks. Just brush it away after you get it on there. And then this is what I was talking about on furniture. I kind of comb it backwards, almost like you're teasing it. You remember the 80s where you tease your bangs? Similar kind of thing. Good. It's like I'm teasing it, raking it backwards. And look at that. Like, how freaking pretty is that right there? Oh my gosh, I'm dead. And I like that it's a contrast to the gold on the knob. But anywho, that's what I got. I'm going to check really quick to see if there's any questions, because I'm going to guess that some people are like, what just happened? What just happened? In the meantime, oh, sorry. Let's just see real quick. I won't be sitting here scrolling forever, I promise. In the meantime, I'm trying to think of if there's anything I missed as far as what I wanted to tell you. Oh, it's worth mentioning one more time. Don't try to add paint to your quick setting resin to color these, okay? Don't do that. Hello, everyone. Thank you for saying hi. It makes me feel really good. I promise you like it. I need highs today, hellos, and how you doings. Okay, we talked about the glue sticks in the pot. Oh, Ava, aren't you such a sweetheart? There must be obviously something wrong with you for wanting to watch me every day. Just kidding. No, I'm like, sometimes I feel like Lucille Ball, but she was entertaining and funny. I'm just like the clumsy, everything going wrong kind of Lucille Ball, but it's not quite as cute and endearing as hers was. Okay, I don't understand. If you put that piece of metal and it sticks in the, oh, where's the rest of it? Oh, okay, so hold on, I'm getting two different questions here. So let's see. Let me scroll back just a little bit. Somebody was asking, she doesn't understand, but I can't see the rest of the comment. What is it? Oh, here it goes. I don't understand. If you put that piece of metal in and it sticks in the knob, you only get one in the kit. How do you reuse the metal piece if it's your knob? You don't reuse any of the metal pieces. You don't reuse them. Did I say that? Yeah, you don't reuse the metal pieces. That goes in the knob, and that's the receptacle that you will screw your post into to keep it attached to your furniture, right? So female, and then you've got the male part you add when you're attaching it, or you can add it first if it's open-ended. But you see what I'm saying? Maybe, do I need to demonstrate that part? So this one, okay, don't mind that. This is just the demo one, but so the female part's in here, and then you take the post, which is the male part, shove it in there, screw it on, and I mean, obviously you would want it tighter than this, but this is just for look, so you don't reuse any of that, which is why I was just saying if you want more or you need to re-up on those, you can look up, what did we say? There's so many things you can look up. You can look up closed or sealed, one or the other. Let's just call it closed. Closed, not a T-nut, closed something nut, I can't remember now. But you can look up insert nuts. Basically, if you look at bookbinding or machine parts, you'll find these if you look up closed-ended nuts of some sort. There's T-nuts. I can't remember what these are called, but they're like T-nuts, but these don't have the T on them. They have a hexagon. So I'll try to make a little guide that's easily accessible, because I know you're not going to just remember that. And I'm sorry if that wasn't much help, but I'll get you a little guide to where you can buy these things, these extra parts. And now I'm reading comments from other groups, and I'm sitting there about to answer questions from completely different. Okay, Gina says she uses gloss top coat over a resin leaf. Okay. Yeah, I've used water-based top coat, like polyacrylic type over leaf before, is good. Lacquer's not so great unless you clear coat them first with like a non-lacquer. It kind of oxidizes the leaf and turns it a little bit rusty looking, but that's not a bad thing sometimes. Maybe you want that. I know the thing, Ruth, the thing I don't prefer about how the order goes, which it makes sense. The order of releases has to go as it is, but I wish that we could do all of the content and everything beforehand so the retailers could see that and understand all the product before it goes out to consumers. But it doesn't make sense that way that I know of. So unfortunately, it's kind of, but the good thing is you always can order, you know, anytime you want. So unless it's out of stock, but it'll usually come back in stock. But okay, so Taylor was saying, I'm so confused on what to buy to make the knobs shiny. Okay, so you can use a sealer like you would use on your furniture. So polyacrylic, top coat, if satin or gloss or semi-gloss looks the best. Probably semi-gloss or gloss looks the best. Obviously you wouldn't want to use matte if you're our matte. You could use more epoxy. So I don't know if you poured them out of clear epoxy or the quick setting or what, but whatever you made them out of, you can pour a thin coat of epoxy over the top. What I do is I pour it over the top, okay, let it just drip down the top, let it set for a couple seconds, give it some heat, and then I go around it with a small artist brush that I can throw away and I don't need to keep to make sure everything's covered. Okay, you really just need a light covering of it to make that glossy. And then give it some more heat so that anything excess drips off and make sure you don't have bubbles or all that. And then it cures pretty quickly, a few hours as opposed to 24, and then you have a nice clear coat. That's probably the most durable, but it is a little bit of extra work mixing up more epoxy. Worth it if you really care about it being lasting and you know, the longevity of your items. But I also have found UV curing resin, so the kind they use to make jewelry with. It's UV, it's clear epoxy, but it's UV setting, so you need a black light to cure it. I like it because I'm impatient. It comes in small bottles. I'm impatient, so it cures immediately. But you just have to get a little black light, which you can get them on Amazon, I think, for $4 and they look like a flashlight. Shine it on there for about 30 seconds to a minute. Then you've got a nice hard clear coat. I wish they made it in gallons for furniture, but they don't. That's regular epoxy. Plus, I don't want that big of a UV light. Can you imagine a gigantic black light in your house? You can make 4 knobs with each knob kit. So the 4 designs are sold separately. So there's 4 designs and each one comes with one little knob mold and the hardware is inside. So there's 4 sets of hardware inside. So 4. But like I said, I get these jobbies off Amazon and I can make tons. I know, Heather, your brain is exploding. Mine is too. I know, it's a lot of information. It's definitely a lot. What else? Okay, so I don't see anything else at the moment, like off the top of my... Oh, she said, I thought you said you only get one of the metal pieces. No, you get 4 sets per order. But, you know, we all know that if you have a mold, you're probably going to use it more than 4 times if it's not something super specific. Thank you, Ronnie. I'm going to have to, after this video, I'm going to have to break it down and probably, because I'm a visual person. So I have ADHD very bad and I can't watch a tutorial to save my life. So I can't learn that way. I have to see it like pictures like a child because that makes my brain absorb that information. So I'm going to do a recorded video with the same info on it, but I will list it out for you to see and pause, fast forward, rewind, whatever you have to do in order to grasp that information or be able to write it down or retain it, because I myself need to see it. I need a list. I need a diagram. I need an infographic. I need to see. You can say blah, 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 blah to me all day long, and that's what it sounds like. I have to read it. So everyone's different, but I will do that. I'm working on it right now. I'll post it to my page, CC Restyled, as soon as that's ready and edited and good for viewing on YouTube. I'll put it on YouTube as well. So I'll go ahead and head off of here because I don't know that I see any other questions right away. I'm sure there will be some. So I will check back. I know I'm terrible at that, but it's not that I don't want to. I try. So I try. Heather says, where can we order them? You can get them from a retailer or Redesign. So if you don't have one or don't know where their one is, there's in-store and online retailers. You can go to redesignwithprima.com and find the retailer locator, and then you can find one close to you or one online, whatever you prefer. Or, you know, I have an affiliate link, but that's, I would try a retailer first, and your last case, last resort would be you could go to my website and get my link to the retail page that way. But try a retailer. You want to form a relationship with them if you plan on, you know, purchasing more items in the future, because they can help you out if you have a defective product, or something goes wrong, or you need some advice, or they want to show you all the new product. It's good to have a good relationship with your retailer, either local or one online, but you establish that relationship and then you can take care of each other, you know, scratch each other's backs. So I suggest that first before you just go online and use my link. But that's it. So I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for hanging out and learning about some knobs. Knobs are so fun. So I hope you have a knobulous weekend. Yes. Bye.